Welcome. In this lecture, we are going to understand about Docker volumes and mounts. Let us see with an example. Assume that I have a host machine with Ubuntu OS and I created a container. Uh, the image which I used is Ubuntu image. So basically, the Docker follows overlay file system. Okay. So there will be layers, image layers. As I am actually creating a container using Ubuntu, there will be layers. I'll just represent the lower layer will contain the Ubuntu specific files. Okay. The upper layer will be actually empty. The merged layer is nothing but a combination of both, which we will see. Right. So mm, uh, for this container, there will be layers. Okay, fine. Now assume that I have actually SSH'd into this container. I've connected to this container and I create a folder, my app. Where will it be created? In the upper layer. And inside that folder, whatever files I create, they will be created in the upper layer. And the lower layer is a read-only layer. Right? We understood clearly about overlay file system. Suppose if I start one more container from same Ubuntu image, what will happen actually? The lower layer will be actually the same, the read-only layer, Ubuntu. Actually, let me give you a picture. The read-only layer will be actually shared by both the containers. I'll try to give a picture right now. So assume that this is the Ubuntu layer. These are two containers, container 1 and container 2. So for both the containers, the lower layer will be actually shared because this is a read-only layer, right? And the upper layer will be inside the containers. So in this first container, I created a folder, my app, that will be created in the upper layer. Will it be visible in another container? No, right? Because whatever is in the upper layer is specific to this particular container. Okay. Now what do I mean is in this container when my application is running, if my application is writing any files or creating any folders, they will not be visible to other container even though both of these are actually from the same image. How to share files or folders? What we can do is we can actually have some folder slash uh, slash my containers and I can create a folder called as slash x, for example, on the base host machine. What I can do is if I can mount this x onto both containers, whenever I'm mounting, actually what we do, we specify a folder name. Let's assume the folder name is slash my app, here also slash my app. Now this slash my app which is created in the upper layer is actually a mount point pointing to this slash x on the host machine. So when my container is running, if anything is written into this directory, it is actually getting written into the host machine directory. So the other container also will be able to see it. Now the thing is, why should we create a directory on the host machine and bind it? I don't want or I don't bother about what is the path of this folder. I want Docker to manage the path of this folder. So Docker abstracts us using a concept called as volumes. What I can do is simply I can create a volume. Let's assume that I created a volume with name my wall. I'll show you the commands to create this volume. Assume that I have created a folder with name, a volume with name my wall. By default, Docker maintains all the volumes under /var /lib slash docker slash volumes. Under this folder, a folder with name my wall will be created. So this path is taken care by Docker. We don't need to worry whenever we are working with containers. We don't need to worry what is the actual path where the folder is created. Docker maintains all the volumes under this folder. So what all we have to do is we have to create a volume using a Docker command and use this volume within the container. Whenever we are creating a container, we can mount this volume into the container. Okay, let us see practically whatever I have shown. So first what I want to do is I want to actually mount. First of all, I want to run a Ubuntu. So what I can do is simply I can use Docker run. Whenever I am running, I want the bash shell also for it. Hyphen I want IT, then Ubuntu, and then I want a bash terminal. Whatever we give after the image is a command to be executed after the container starts. So I want to start bash. I want to attach my terminal. That's the reason I'm using -t, and I want to interact with the terminal. So I'll get the bash shell. The container is created and I got the bash shell. Now on the other terminal, if I say docker ps, it will show this is the container ID. So fine. Now what I will do is I'll use /ls/ this is a directory, and I'll make a directory mkdir uh, /myapp. Yes. Now if I say ls, my app is created, and I will actually cd into my app, and I'll just touch a.txt. Fine. Now what I will do is on the other terminal I'll try to create one more container using same image Ubuntu. So docker run -it bash, sorry, Ubuntu bash. Now I got the container, and now if I actually see um, ls/, is there my app folder? No, as we understood, this my app folder could have been created in the upper layer. Okay. Now what I will do is uh, I want to exit out of this containers. Now I want to use volumes. So I will exit. Fine. Now I'll create a volume. How to look at volumes? Docker volumes volume ls. See, these are the volumes already, the default ones. Okay, this volume is the volume which I created earlier. So what I am going to do is I'm going to delete it. Docker volume rm my volume. Okay, volume is in use. Okay, what are the processes running docker ps dash a? Oh, there are a lot of containers. So I guess this volume was used by one of these containers. So whenever we want to remove a volume, we should make sure that it is not being used by any of the containers, whether the container is stopped or running. So I have to remove all this. I'll just remove F7, 82, 50. Only first two letters are okay for the container IDs. I'm giving them before and for all the containers will be removed. Now if I say docker ps dash a, nothing will be there. Now I can remove the volume. So remove. Now if I use docker volume ls, there is no my volume, right? I want to create a volume. So docker volume create my wall. Yes. Now if I use docker volume ls, it will show my wall. Now I will use docker inspect volume my wall. See, it is telling, it's giving the information about my wall. Where is the mount point on the host? Okay. Now let me go to ls slash var slash lib slash var slash lib docker. Okay, sudo I have to use. Yes, see, these are all the folders under slash var slash lib slash docker. Any container related information, docker will keep here. Any image layer information, image information it will keep here. Any overlays related information, it will keep here. Like that, any volume relations, any volume specific details, it will keep it under this one. Now I'll ls slash volumes. See the volume names, these are the volume names. Whenever I ls, these folders are present, and there's a folder called as my wall. So I'll again ls slash my wall. There is a folder called as underscore data. Same, right? This is a mount point. So again I will do ls of slash underscore data. There is nothing right now. Okay, good. So I created a volume and there is nothing inside the volume right now. Now, while running the container, I want to attach I want to mount my volume into a particular directory in your container. So let's see how to do it. Docker run. Okay, what I want to run? Ubuntu. And I also want bash terminal. Fine. But I want to attach my terminal to the bash terminal and I want to interact with it. -it. Then I also wanted to mount dash dash mount. What type is equals to what is the mount type? Volume. I want to mount a volume, comma. What is the source volume? src is equals to the volume name. What I created? My wall, comma. Where you want to mount it onto the container? Target is equals to slash my app. So I want to mount this my volume onto slash my app in the container. Let us see. Yeah, I got. Now if I write slash ls slash, is there my app folder? Yes. So I will cd into slash my app ls. There's nothing. I'll just write touch a.txt. Okay. So the file a.txt got created here, right? Actually, on the host machine, I want to do an ls on this folder, the mount point. ls. See? Okay, sudo I have to use. Yes, is the a.txt created on the host machine at this path? Yes. So now what I could do is I can create one more container using a similar command using same image. So docker run um, hyphen it dash dash mount and type is equals to volume and comma src is equals to my wall same volume comma target is equals to I want to mount it to some other directory slash Siva app. Okay, I want the image to be Ubuntu and I want a bash terminal. Fine. Now if I use ls slash, is there a folder called as Siva app? Because the target I said Siva app. So I'll just cd into Siva app ls. Wow. Did I see that a.txt in this container also? Yes. So by actually creating a volume and mounting the volumes, we can actually share some files or folders in multiple containers. So this is called as volume mounting. So whenever we are actually mounting a volume, who manages the volumes? Docker manages. Whenever we say Docker volume create, Docker will create a volume under this folder and you can bind it. But let's assume that you don't want to bind a folder under this directory. You want to mount your own directory wherever some path slash x slash y you want to mount this path, right? So you have to make sure that this folder is there before mounting. If you are mounting your own directories which are not managed by Docker, yes, you can do so. That is called as bind mount. So let us see how I can use a bind mount instead of volume. And what is the difference actually? Let us try to understand. So I will exit from this containers. Let me exit in both the terminals. Okay. So now what I want is ls slash. I'll do okay. I'll do a directory. I'll create a directory mkdir slash Siva slash Siva. Okay, sorry, sudo. Yes, ls slash now. Is there a directory called as Siva? Yes. Fine. I can create any directory and I can mount. pwd if I use. Yep. Actually, what the pwd, the current directory, I want to bind it into the container. Let us see how to do it. So Docker run Ubuntu and I want the bash shell and I want the interactive terminal hyphen it, then dash dash mount. I want to mount the current directory. So the type I have to give here is equals to bind comma src. Actually, the type is not volume. C. I am using bind mount. So what is the src? I want the current directory. Any directory I can give, but if I want current directory, what I can do is dollar pwd. Okay, so this command, once it is executed, it will return slash home slash Sivaprasad. And what is the target comma target, this target folder on the container, target is equals to slash aaa something. Okay, oh, what is it? Invalid mount type is equals to bind um, invalid mount type field source must not be empty. Okay, uh, what is that? Dollar pwd. Okay. Source is empty. Actually, this command pwd is small. Mistake. Fine. Now I got the terminal. This is a mistake which I did. The command has to be in small letters. Now, if I do ls slash, is there a folder called as AAAA, which is of target? Now, if I say ls slash, oh, is it, sorry, ls slash AAAA, is it the folder in my current directory, pwd slash home slash Sivaprasad? And if I do ls, is the Docker training folder? Yes, I am able to see the Docker training folder in the container also. So I will, whatever changes I make here, of course, they'll be made on the host as well. Okay, so mkdir, I'll just cd into slash AAA and mkdir, sorry, sudo, oh, caps is on, sudo mkdir bb, sorry, mkdir bb slash, or just I'll do bb. Yes, now if I ls on the root, is this folder created on my directory as well, on the present directory as well? Yes. So basically, if you have a requirement to mount any of the directories on your container, you can use the type as bind. Remember, whenever you are using type is equals to bind, whatever source directory you are specifying, you should take care of creating. But whereas when you are using volumes, if the volume is not present, automatically Docker will create it, and Docker will maintain those all values under a specified directory like this slash var slash lib slash docker slash volumes. So that's about volumes. We'll see more about volumes in future lectures as well. Thank you. I'll see you next lecture.